Do you have a smartphone or a tablet? Chances are you do, and if you do, chances are pretty high that at some point you've had a problem with your headphone jack, your charger port, or some sort of input on your device. In this video, I'm going to show you one very simple trick that could help you recover from some of the most common problems that are causing your headphone socket and your input jacks to not work. So let's go. If this is your first time on this channel, I'm Pete. This is Studio Live Today, where I help you create, record, and release your best music, or at least I usually do. This video is going to be a little left of center, but I think it's still relevant because there is nothing more frustrating than when you have your phone or your digital device and you can't use your headphones or you can't plug it in to charge it. It is really frustrating, and there is one really common cause that a lot of people overlook, and we're going to jump into that now. Before we get started, let's start with a disclaimer, a caveat, a warning. I'm going to show you a method that I use to clean out the sockets here from lint and crud and other pieces that we have in here that cause some of the most common problems. However, your mileage may indeed vary. So if you are at all concerned before trying this, please consult your manufacturer, check your manual, take it to a genius or someone else to have a look at it first, because there are no guarantees in anything in life, and this is something that is not guaranteed. That all being said, it has solved my problems probably 90% of the time, and to date, I haven't caused any damage to any of my devices doing this. So let's cut to the chase. What are we talking about here? Well, I have in my hand a toothpick, and this is what we'll be using today to fix this device. Now, this one isn't broken right now, so it's actually working well, but when a device like this gets a lot of crud, I like to call it crud, it's basically pocket lint, it's dust, it's just whatever's around in your bag, in your pocket, wherever you store your phone, gets caught up in these ports, then they malfunction. Because if you think of how small your headphone adapter is, or your lightning cable in the case of this one, or a mini USB, micro USB, they are tiny, and the little pins or the little poles in the case of the headphone socket are so small that even the smallest amount of dust or anything, dirt, crud that goes in there, pocket lint, is going to cause a problem, because it means that the connections are not going to touch each other. Now, there's a few tactics and techniques you can use with this. One thing is, do not use anything metallic. Do not, for hopefully obvious reasons, stick a screwdriver, a pin, a needle, anything like that in there. You can cause some serious damage. You can scrape off some bits that you don't want to scrape off. That's why I always recommend our good friend the toothpick here, because made of wood, yes, it has a sharp end, so don't go cramming it in there, but with some gentle scraping and massaging, you'll be absolutely astonished at how much stuff you can get out of here, especially if you use your phone in your pocket or you put it in somewhere that's going to collect up. Jeans are the worst, so the amount of pocket lint from my jeans that I've pulled out of phones and things in the past is a little bit weird and disturbing. So what are the common problems that we're actually looking to solve for here? Well, the most common one is that you'll plug your headphones in and nothing will happen. So the phone will not recognize that you've actually plugged in a pair of headphones. That happens to me far too frequently, and I have to clean it out then. The other reverse one is that you'll plug it into your phone and then you'll unplug and it'll say, yeah, we got some headphones plugged in over here. And you've unplugged the headphones. The headphones have been gone for a long time. That's another frustrating one. And again, it's because it thinks that they're still plugged in. There's some stuff in there creating a connection that you can't actually tell it not. The other thing I'd probably suggest and throw in here now, restart your device and turn it off before you're doing any of these things that I'm about to do here. But turning it off and on does actually fix a lot of problems too. That's probably the first thing I'd recommend before you go scraping around with the toothpick that we're about to do here. The other common problem is that your microphone maybe won't work. So the button on your microphone, if you've got a headset, or the microphone itself won't work and the headphones will, vice versa. Maybe the headphones won't work and the microphone will. So one of the pins or one of the poles is connecting and one is not, which means that you're not getting the full functionality. And that's a very frustrating thing. When it comes to your charging port, so the lightning ports are notorious for this. It will go in and it will go on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, and it will look like there's something wrong. And I've thrown away Before I realised this trick, I've thrown away so many cables that if I just plugged it into a different device, I'd realise, it's actually the device, not the cable. So before you throw away your cables, definitely check that it's not the actual socket. Try a different device or try a different cable and see. And yeah, don't waste your money by throwing that away. So that's one thing, and the other thing is it just won't start charging at all. So you plug your phone in and nothing happens. It doesn't say it's plugged in. So they're kind of the 5 common things that we have where it won't accept your headphones. It thinks your headphones are in all the time. There's some problem with either the microphone or the headphone actually activating, and then your lightning port or your charger port on your device, it will either go on, off, so it seems like it's a bit of a dodgy connection, or it just won't connect at all. Okay, so here is our patient prepped for surgery on our operating table here. So let's start with the headphone port. So what I'll do here is I'll just put the toothpick in here, and you can see, or you may not be able to see, but there's already a little piece of crud there. What I'll do is I'll start a crud pile here on this desk. In fact, I should probably have gotten like a white piece of paper to put this on so we could have seen it a bit better. Oh, it stuck to my finger. Yay! So we're just going to go in there and we're just going to gently twizzle that around and pull out, and we call that a big un in the business. So I'll continue doing this and we'll see how much crud we can get out of this headphone socket. Okay, so there you go. This is after around about 5 minutes of scraping, and keep in mind, I did this about a month ago, and look at all of these little bits of crud we have down here. You can see the ends of these toothpicks are actually quite blackened as well, because they've got little bits, like little tiny bits that have stuck to them. And I wasn't doing any sort of aggressive scraping or scratching. I was literally just reaching in there and just gently moving around, and we've got all of this out here. I'm going to do something gross here. Look away if you don't like this sort of thing, but ew, all of that, it's really just sort of pocket lint, but it looks a bit gross, so we're going to move on from that one. Let's now attack the lightning port and see what we can get out of that one. We'll grab ourselves a fresh toothpick and let's attack this lightning port now. Okay, so the good news is that we only needed one toothpick this time, and we got a much smaller amount of crud out of that lightning port. So you can see that this is me after cleaning them. I do this about once a month, and that is pretty gross, and there's got lots of stuff in there. So if I'd left this for a longer time, then it was going to have a lot more crud in there and was going to start potentially causing some of those issues that I was talking about before. So there you go. Maybe you'll never have a problem with your lightning port, with your charger port, with your headphone jack. Maybe you have this before and you're like, oh wow, that's so amazing. That's going to help me next time it happens. Or maybe you just treat your devices better and you don't get a whole bunch of stuff in them in the first place. Whatever the case, I hope you found this a little bit interesting and entertaining, at least, watching me do something a bit weird and scrape out my phone. Alrighty, if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, if you want to plead with me to never do another video like this ever again, leave your comments and questions and suggestions down below, and I'll see you in the next video where I promise we'll actually be talking about music. See ya. Hey, you're still here. You're instantly one of my favorite humans. If you'd like to check out some more videos handpicked by Google's algorithm just for you, click on one of the 2 rectangle links at the bottom. And for more news and tips and tricks, head on over to studiolivetoday.com. Thanks again for watching.